The Danish monarchy is among the oldest in the world, tracing its lineage back over 1,000 years. But never before has it seen a moment quite like this. When Queen Margrethe II abdicated the throne on January 14, 2024, after an extraordinary reign spanning over 52 years, it was a day etched into the annals of Danish history. The weight of legacy, tradition, and expectations were suddenly placed on the shoulders of Crown Prince Frederik and his Australian-born wife, now Queen Mary. But beneath the surface of pomp and pageantry, royal experts whispered of complex undercurrents. Queen Margrethe, deeply respected and fiercely intellectual, had long been seen as a formidable figure. Her relationship with Mary, while outwardly respectful, had often appeared formal. Distant, even. So when Queen Margrethe stood before the gathered court, the Danish people, and the watching world to deliver a few short but heartfelt words during a state celebration honoring Queen Mary's new title, no one expected what came next. The moment unfolded at Christiansborg Palace, during what was supposed to be a fairly routine royal reception, at least by regal standards. Dressed in a flowing sapphire gown and wearing the famed Danish ruby per tiara, Queen Mary was the epitome of royal composure. Queen Margrethe, now styled Her Majesty Queen Margrethe the Queen Mother, had taken to the podium. The audience expected the usual remarks, formal congratulations, mentions of duty, perhaps a nod to continuity. But instead, Margrethe's tone softened. Her voice, often resolute and commanding, faltered just slightly, enough to suggest this speech came not from a script, but from her heart. "Mary," she began quietly, "you came to us from far away. You gave up your homeland, your family, your career. And you did so with grace, dignity, and strength. I see in you not just a queen, but a daughter." A murmur went through the room. Court photographers snapped furiously. Even King Frederik appeared visibly touched. But it was Queen Mary who wore the most profound expression of all. Her mouth fell open slightly, her eyes widened, and then filled with tears. These few words, so simple, carried a heavy emotional punch. And here's why. For years, speculation had swirled around the nature of the relationship between Mary Donaldson, Australia's girl next door turned royal, and Queen Margrethe. The elder queen, a scholarly figure fluent in multiple languages and trained in archaeology and art history, had exacting standards. Royal commentators often noted that Queen Margrethe was closer to her younger son, Prince Joachim, and had at times seemed reluctant to fully embrace Mary as a future queen consort. So for Queen Mary to be referred to as a daughter, a term never before publicly used by Margrethe, was not just affectionate. It was revolutionary. Royal historian Lars Thomsen said it best. This was not just a moment of warmth. It was a deeply symbolic gesture. In that moment, Queen Margrethe wasn't just passing the crown, she was passing her heart. Let's analyze what body language experts observed in that exact moment. Queen Mary's eyes immediately dropped, a universal sign of emotional vulnerability. Her hands, usually clasped tightly before her, unclenched, a physical release of internal tension. And most tellingly, she looked directly at Margrethe and smiled through her tears, signaling profound gratitude. According to Danish etiquette expert Sophie Alstrup, this wasn't rehearsed. You can't fake that kind of emotional authenticity. This was a moment of healing, of acceptance, and of maternal recognition. To understand why this moment mattered so much, we need to rewind to the beginning. Mary Donaldson, born in Tasmania, had a thriving career in marketing when she met Crown Prince Frederik at the Slip-In Bar during the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Their relationship was quiet at first, and the Danish press remained skeptical. Could an outsider truly fit into the world's oldest monarchy? Despite facing enormous pressure, from language barriers to complex royal protocols, Mary persisted. She studied Danish intensively, embraced royal duties, and slowly earned the public's admiration. But earning the full trust and affection of Queen Margrethe, that, it seemed, took years. Insiders report that early on, Queen Margrethe often maintained formality with Mary in private, strict adherence to titles, little personal conversation, and no signs of overt affection. And Mary, in turn, remained respectfully distant. So when Margrethe finally bridged that gap, not just as a monarch, but as a matriarch, it symbolized far more than the public could see. Within hours of the video clip surfacing, social media lit up. On Danish Twitter and royal fan pages, Hashtags like Queen Mary and Margrethe moment began trending. One user posted, "I never cried during royal speeches. But when Margrethe said, 'I see in you a daughter,' I bawled. The Queen passed her crown and her love." Another wrote, "That's what true power looks like, a woman of tradition showing vulnerability and grace." Even international outlets picked up the moment. Headlines from The Guardian, Le Figaro, and ABC Australia described the speech as a rare emotional breakthrough in European royalty. Beyond the touching moment itself, this speech signals a profound shift in royal dynamics. Royal expert Helena Jorgensen explained, "What we're seeing is the emotional modernization of the Danish monarchy. In the past, affection was kept behind closed doors. But in an age of transparency, moments like these resonate with younger generations." This was more than a mother-in-law expressing kindness. It was an invitation into the heart of the monarchy, into legacy, into Denmark itself. Now that Queen Mary stands at the helm alongside King Frederik X, she inherits not only titles, but a kingdom of expectations. And with Margrethe's unexpected words, she also inherits approval. Many royal watchers believe this was Queen Margrethe's final masterstroke. A queen known for her intellect and restraint ended her reign not with a grand decree, but with a single act of emotional grace. "History will remember Queen Margrethe for her reign," said Danish commentator Johan Bjørnboe. But Queen Mary will remember her for that one sentence. Now firmly rooted as Denmark's first queen consort of foreign birth, Mary's future is both historic and symbolic. With the Danish people behind her, her children rising into public roles, and the open-hearted blessing of her predecessor, Queen Mary begins her reign with not only legitimacy, but love. Sometimes, royal history is written in ink and signatures. But other times, it's etched in tears, in words unspoken for too long, and in glances exchanged between two generations of queens. As Queen Mary blinked back tears and reached out to clasp Queen Margrethe's hand, the cameras caught more than a royal moment. They captured humanity. They captured healing. They captured the dawn of a new era. In the end, what does it mean to be royal? Is it the crown, the power, or the courage to say what truly matters, when it matters most? While the world only sees what cameras are allowed to capture, the true evolution of Queen Mary and Queen Margrethe's relationship likely took shape over years of private encounters, formal dinners, and behind-the-scenes collaboration. Sources close to the Danish court have spoken, anonymously, of course, about the respectful yet emotionally distant relationship the two women shared early on. Queen Margrethe, known for her scholarly mind and deeply rooted in old world royal traditions, was initially said to have approached Mary's entry into the family with caution. One palace staffer recalled, "Margrethe didn't dislike Mary, not at all. But she tested her. Everything had to be earned. The language, the posture, the diplomatic etiquette. Mary passed those tests with grace, but the warmth took time." It wasn't until after the births of Mary and Frederik's 4 children that insiders began to notice a shift. Especially with Prince Christian, the future king, Queen Margrethe reportedly became more involved, often spending private time with her grandchildren and inviting Mary to more intimate family discussions. One royal historian described it as a quiet thawing, a slow but steady transition from formality to familiarity. And the recent public words, that was the final thaw, the moment the ice melted entirely. Let's take a deeper look into Queen Mary's incredible transformation. Born Mary Elizabeth Donaldson in Hobart, Tasmania, in 1972, she was the youngest of 4 children. Her father, John Donaldson, was a mathematics professor. Her mother, Henrietta Clark Donaldson, was of Scottish descent. Far removed from royal life, Mary grew up enjoying sports, studying commerce and law, and working in advertising. A life full of potential, yes, but hardly one that suggested future royalty. And yet, fate intervened. The Sydney Olympics, a chance encounter at a local bar, and suddenly, a fairy tale began. But what followed was no fantasy. Mary moved to Denmark. She gave up her job, adapted to an unfamiliar language, and entered the rigorous world of royal protocol. Every step was scrutinized by Danish media, every gesture compared to those of noble-born aristocrats. And yet, she never stumbled. Her elegance, intelligence, and work ethic slowly won over a skeptical public, and perhaps even a cautious Queen Margrethe. Over the decades, Mary evolved into a regal force in her own right, carving out a legacy of humanitarian work, fashion diplomacy, and advocacy for vulnerable communities. In that context, Margrethe's words were more than emotional. They were the public recognition of Mary's incredible journey. In Denmark, the monarchy is more than a symbol, it's a living embodiment of national identity. And so, when Queen Margrethe called Mary her daughter, the Danish people took notice. Polls conducted days after the speech showed a significant jump in Queen Mary's already strong approval ratings. According to Danish Broadcasting Corporation (DR), over 84% of Danes now say they believe Mary will be an exceptional queen. Why? Because the Danish public loves authenticity. "She's one of us now," one woman said in a televised interview in Copenhagen's Kongens Nytorv Square. "The Queen, Margrethe, said it, and we feel it." Royal watchers believe that this show of unity between old and new generations solidifies the monarchy's ongoing relevance in a modern age. Queen Margrethe has always been viewed as intellectually formidable, artistically gifted, and emotionally reserved. But in her final public acts as monarch and in her current role as Queen Mother, she is showing a softer side, and the world is noticing. Known for her directness and steel-like resolve, Margrethe surprised many with her emotional vulnerability. But this wasn't out of character, it was evolution. Those close to her say the abdication itself was a catalyst. Freed from the pressures of office, Margrethe could finally speak from the heart, not the throne. And what she chose to say, to call Mary a daughter, was both poignant and powerful. It was the mark of a queen who knows when to let go, and how to pass the baton with grace. With the crown now on King Frederik X's head, and Queen Mary by his side, the Danish monarchy enters a new era. Together, they symbolize modern royalty, a blend of tradition and progress. Frederik and Mary have already shown signs of shifting the tone. They are more open, more engaged with digital platforms, and more present in public forums. Mary's work with the Mary Foundation has set her apart as a working royal with passion and authenticity. Experts believe that with Queen Margrethe's full emotional endorsement, Mary now steps fully into her power, not just as consort, but as a queen with a voice. The moment wasn't just felt in Denmark. Across Europe, fellow royals quietly expressed admiration for Queen Margrethe's emotional speech. A source close to the Swedish royal family noted that Queen Sylvia was deeply moved and sent a personal note to Mary. Meanwhile, Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden, a close friend of Queen Mary, reportedly texted her immediately after the speech to say, "You deserve this. You always have." Even within the British royal family, the moment was noticed. Royal commentator Katie Nicholl noted that Camilla, Queen Consort of the United Kingdom, viewed the gesture as an example of intergenerational grace that could inspire the House of Windsor. It seems the emotional ripple created by Queen Margrethe reached far beyond Danish shores. In the modern era, monarchies are often accused of being cold relics of the past. But in just a few words, Queen Margrethe reminded the world that even the most powerful institutions are made up of people with real feelings. Her speech, and Mary's tearful reaction, did more to humanize the Danish monarchy than any PR campaign could have achieved. And this is the lesson: vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, it may be monarchy's greatest strength in the 21st century. The Danish press responded with widespread acclaim. From tabloids to broadsheets, the consensus was clear: this moment mattered. Politiken, one of Denmark's most respected newspapers, ran the headline, "Mary, daughter of Denmark." Meanwhile, Berlingske Tidende described the scene as a coronation of the heart. Even more telling were the op-eds, many of which declared this the beginning of a new golden age for the Danish monarchy. One editor wrote, "The Queen Emeritus gave us more than a new sovereign. She gave us closure, healing, and a shared emotional truth." Historically, it is rare for reigning or former monarchs to express such open affection for their successors. When Queen Elizabeth II referred to Camilla as Queen Consort in her Platinum Jubilee message, it was a carefully worded statement, not an emotional endorsement. In contrast, Margrethe's words to Mary were deeply personal. Some experts compare the moment to when Queen Victoria expressed love for Princess Alexandra of Denmark, the future Queen of the United Kingdom, a parallel not lost on Danish historians. But even among global monarchies, this degree of warmth, emotion, and maternal affection is almost unprecedented. And so, we return to that singular moment. One woman, who ruled with wisdom and resolve for half a century, looked upon her daughter-in-law. Not with critique, not with distance, but with love. And that love was accepted with open arms by a woman who had already given so much of herself to a country that once felt so far away. In that instant, the throne passed. But so did something else. A legacy, a bond, a royal love letter to the future. Now that Queen Mary has received not just the crown but Queen Margrethe's heart, what kind of queen do you believe she'll become? Will she lead with strength? With empathy? With both? Let us know in the comments. And as always, like, share, and subscribe for more intimate royal moments you won't find anywhere else.